what is going on? It is 12 noon on Friday, which means it's time for this week's episode of State of Real Estate. My name is John Carissimo, and this show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. We're here every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time to help you understand how to maximize and grow your real estate business. And one of those key essentials, one of the things on our mission to make real estate a better place for all of us real estate agents and brokers out there is education, by helping people understand what you're doing. You know, say you've got a buyer, say you've got somebody that wants to purchase a home. What do you do with them? How do you be a professional? And I don't mean being order takers, calling, paying hundreds of dollars for Zillow leads so you could be the gatekeeper to some house, or you could show and you hope they want to buy that house. That's not how you practice real estate. That's how you be a gatekeeper. And if you want to get replaced by something, either lower paid people or technology or whatever the case may be, then that's all you need to do with real estate. But if you want to provide a valuable service to your clients to help them through this journey, that's what it's about, being a real estate professional. And that's what we're going to be really framing today around on working with buyers, of how you should initially handle working with buyers to really streamline this process. Now, there's a lot of small things, there's a lot of little details that we're going to be talking about, and it's important that all these little details come together, because they come together to have a completely different end result than is the typical experience that what most realtors encounter when they're working with buyers. And especially in a market like we have like today, where you're having to compete against maybe 50 other offers. How do you handle that? How do you make your business bulletproof in any market in relation to buyers? That's what we're going to be framing today's episode around, working with buyers, how to build a system out of this so you have predictable outcome, predictable results, predictable income. All kinds of things that make you look like a professional. So stick with us today. I'm real excited to bring you today's show. My name is John Carissimo. You're watching State of Real Estate.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. And welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate, where today we're talking about working with buyers. Now, here is the number one problem I see with most real estate agents practicing real estate is when they're working with buyers, they're getting involved too late. You do not want to be late. And I don't mean just don't be late to appointments. I mean, don't be late to the transaction. You don't want to come in just at the last minute and get lucky because you happen to be the one person that they associated with this one property, and you're able to pull off somehow you're getting a deal with them, but you really don't even know who they are or what they're wanting to do, but they want to buy this house. So okay, cool, let's see if we can pull this off. So many people practice real estate that way. Zillow builds their business off of that. Realtor.com builds their business off of that. All these websites that sell real estate agents leads build their business off of that, and it really gives real estate agents a bad name, because when you're late to the transaction, when you're late to the deal, when you're coming in right at the last minute because you're just a gatekeeper for these houses people want to see, and you don't really have any relationship with them whatsoever, that is what's replaceable. So if that's the way real estate turns, that's scary to me, because now we're losing out on that huge part of value that we can provide, the relationship that we're providing to our clients. So don't be late to the transaction. You want to be early. You want to get involved really early on. At one of my brokerages today, we're doing a training on first-time home buyers, and first-time home buyers are probably one of the best ways to frame all of this around, because with a first-time home buyer, it is a very systematized process a lot of times, because first-time home buyers don't know what they're doing. You want to not necessarily treat all buyers as if they don't know what they're doing, and I don't want to use the word assume that all buyers don't know what they're doing, but you do want to keep in mind that most buyers won't have any idea what they're doing, or what is appropriate, or what is customary, or what is normal, or what is going to put them at a significant risk. They don't know. Why should we assume that they know? And a lot of people run from first-time home buyers because they're like, oh, well, I have to do the thinking, then I have to help them explain how to buy a home. No, that's something you should be doing with every one of your clients, not just first-time home buyers. Every single one of your clients, you should be taking this time, taking this care, taking this attention. And look, if you've seen me get up here and talk about buying leads from these online websites, I usually don't recommend that. Not only because they're the most expensive leads you can get. Now, if you need business in a hurry, that's going to be your best deal. But those are very difficult transactions a lot of times because you're getting thrown in a lot of times later in the game, not usually earlier on in that real estate search. So ideally, you want to try to get one of these, a consultation. What is a consultation? Think of when you work with a seller. If you're already practicing real estate, think of when you're working with a seller. When you're working with a seller, you're going on a listing appointment. And you might even be able to meet with them before you go on a listing appointment. But you're doing that to consult with them before you work with them. Why is it that when we work with sellers that we must agree to all the terms? And that's so common. That never happens. But when we work with buyers, so many agents are just out there just hoping the buyers know what they're doing and hope that, and there's almost like this mutual, I don't know what I'm doing and you don't know what you're doing, let's just not talk about it. That doesn't make you look professional. That's the way a lot of people skip by in transactions. So what do we do in this consultation? What is the most important thing? Number one, fact finding. And this is why this is important that you try to get involved early in the deal, early when they start thinking about this. And again, I use that first-time home buyer example because these first-time home buyers, you might be the person trying to explain to them how they might be able to buy a home. Or maybe this is somebody that's wanting to purchase a new home, and well, why? That's a great question. First off, why do you want a new home? What is the reason why you need a new home? Oh, is it you need more space? Oh, is it because you're having issues and problems with the home? Oh, is it because you're renting and you actually don't want to rent anymore and you do want to be a first-time home buyer? What's causing that? What ideally are you looking for? What's your timeline? How do you think you're going to do this? And you might say, well, John, they're not going to know how. That's why they're coming to us. Why should we ask them how? Because they might have ideas. And if they have ideas of their own. Those ideas of their own can be dangerous. Now, why can their ideas of their own be dangerous? They could be dangerous because they could be wrong. That's why they could be dangerous. Now, how do we know if they're wrong? We have to talk to them about them. We want to fact find. We want to mine out as much information as we can so we can best serve them. If you're ever in a situation, this is something I always like to tell new agents, especially because a lot of times as a new agent, you're freaking out, you don't know what to do. But we don't know everything. We're not expected to know everything. There's constantly going to be this unknown thing, but there's a lot of things that we do know. There's a lot of things that we can control. And whenever it is that we feel like we don't know what the next steps are, it's usually because we don't have enough information yet. Whether that might be not enough training yet to where you feel confident and comfortable, or maybe it's not that you haven't had enough training, but maybe you haven't had the right training. Maybe you've gone on and done all the things it is that you're supposed to do, but what things do you need to do? But this also works when you're trying to extract information from a client. If you don't know what the next steps are, if you're not sure where they stand, just get the information, ask the questions. And sometimes they might, and what's important, and this is why I say it's not just, this isn't a question asking step, because you don't simply just check off a box that you asked a question and that's it. No, you got to get the answer. You've got to extract the information, and the real information. Not the fake information, not the counterfeit information, not the things they say because they're embarrassed about the real story. You've got to try to get to that real information. How? Well, that's where your genius comes in. That's what makes you unique and special and a professional That's where you come in. That's why they haven't been able to computerize real estate yet. That's why they still need highly paid salespeople to be able to do this, because one of the most difficult things to automate is a human connection. They haven't quite figured that out yet. And that's what will elicit this information that we need to best be able to serve our clients. We need to be open. We need them to be honest. We need them to be direct with us, because if they're not, it's only going to make this so much more difficult. But one of the things that we need to do is we need to lay out. Once we do the fact finding, we collect all the information it is that we need, we move into a presentation. And when I say a presentation, I don't mean gather around, dim the lights, and look at my slide deck. I mean, you're conveying information about the services you can provide and how you can assist them. That could be just spoken words, that could involve written or any sort of physical things to go along with that to help substantiate what it is that you're saying, some sort of collateral that you could provide, something that you could have to show this. But the presentation could just be as simple as your words, because you might be having this conversation over the phone. So after you've done your due diligence and found the information that you can about them, and you have an idea of how it is that you could serve them, you move into presenting how you will serve them. And you lay out what's going to happen so they have clear expectations of what it is that you're supposed to do, because that's a big miss with a lot of real estate agents, is their clients have no idea what it is that their real estate agent actually does. And that's when people think we're overpaid, when they don't realize what it is that we do. Whereas when we lay out how we systematize and make this process easy and take them through step by step, not only is that great for the clients, but that's also great for us, because it helps our business run smoother as well. Look, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to tell you a little about post-licensing. If you haven't taken post-licensing yet, it's required for your first renewal deadline. But look, if you're liking the stuff about working with buyers, post-licensing is going to teach you a lot of information that's actually useful for running your real estate business. So we'll be back in less than a minute. Stick with us. I'm John Chrismo. You're watching State of Real Estate. Have you completed your post-licensing education yet? Look, I know you're probably thinking, hey, it's not my renewal deadline. I don't need to do post-licensing yet. But look, here's why you want to do post-licensing as soon as you've got your real estate license, as soon as you're able to take post-licensing. It's not just another course about arbitrary laws that you're never going to use again. It's about real-world, usable topics that'll help you grow your real estate business, to help you take it to the next level. Look, let me ask you this one question. If this course helps you close just one deal, if you get one extra deal from post-licensing, is it worth the investment? I'd say it is. We get paid pretty well, so one deal means a lot of money. Check out postflorida.com. That's postflorida.com for the full details about post-licensing. State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. My name is John Chrismo. The show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate, and what we're talking about today is working with buyers. Now, we've already kind of threw stones at the way buyers are typically handled by most professionals, if we're going to call them that. I can say that, right? Anyways, it doesn't look professional to us when the deal doesn't go as planned. And we're setting the deal up for failure if we don't take these initial steps. And while this might require more investment of your time, energy, money even, maybe if you're putting together some sort of like little booklet for them or something like that to help explain this process, help them understand, help onboard them. But that investment that you're making in the early parts of this transaction will help your transaction after the fact go so much smoother. Because these two components right here, the fact finding, finding out, hey, what is it that you need? How can I serve you? What are you trying to do? You know, financially talking about pre-approvals. Have they talked to lenders? When are they going to buy it? How are they going to buy it? How much money do they want to use as a down payment? What do they want their monthly payment to be? Now you might say, well, John, I'm not a mortgage lender. I can't tell them what the down payment that's okay. No, you're not telling them what the down payment and mortgage payment is going to be. You're just asking what they would like their down payment to be. This isn't about you. This is about them. Don't try to make this about you. That's another thing I would also throw on the list as well. That's the thing I think too many real estate professionals do, is they make it too much about them. It's not about you. It's about your clients. We're the who's acting in the shadows. We're acting in the shadows for them, helping them go through this whole process, guide them through it, but really they are the heroes. We're not the hero, they are the hero. They're the hero of their own journey, of their own story, whether that's the first time they're buying a home or whether they're upgrading, whether they're downsizing, whether they're adding an investment property, whatever the case may be. So we're here to help them look good, but they're not going to look good if this deal falls apart, and they're going to try to blame it on us. And we could sit here and argue of whose fault it's going to be, or we could try to spend the work ahead of time to make sure that those problems don't happen, because that's what makes a true professional. You know, when something just goes well, you say, man, that person is really great. They're a true professional. Now, what makes you think they're a true professional? Because things don't go wrong, or when they do go wrong, they go wrong in the best possible way. Things will go wrong in your real estate transactions. Things will go wrong with your clients, and your goal is try to make them go wrong in the best possible way. But the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you're fully informed of everything and you've got all the information. And that's why you want to have this conversation with your potential buyer about this, about, hey, look, we got to have open, direct, honest feedback because I've got a lot of information, I've got a lot of resources, I've got a great team behind me, but those are only going to be useful if I know everything that's going on and I can see everything from all angles. And laying that out to them along with everything else it is that you're doing to build rapport, because they're not going to just want to open their life story to just some complete stranger. So that's not the first question you're going to lead off with it, but eventually in your presentation you're going to get to that point as you're breaking down how it is that you could serve them, what is going to be expected of them. Expectations are a very important part of the presentation. Had a new agent I was talking to just yesterday about a client they have that wants to list their home at a significantly overvalue for the situation of the property. And look, at the end of the day, even if we don't believe our clients are right, at the end of the day, it's their house, it's their decision, they're the ones making the choices. You might not want to take an overpriced listing, especially in a market like today. I know we're supposed to be talking about buyers, but let's just talk about this listing for a second. Especially in a market like today, a lot of sellers might think that a property will sell at any price. And properties are definitely selling for higher prices, but not at any price. There are limits still. We haven't lost gravity altogether. So there are still limitations of the increase in the value. But at the end of the day, what's going to be important in that case is explaining to them, okay, yeah, I completely understand. We'll list it at this price because you may be right. But let's say 2 weeks in and let's say we don't even have any offers. Do you want to keep it at that price or would you want to reduce it at that point? A lot of people might just be quiet and say, oh, let's worry about that if we have to. But if you know that's going to be an issue, that's what your intuition of your professional experience is telling you, just laying the expectation. Say, hey, look, I completely understand. You're in the driver's seat. You are the captain. I'm here to serve you. So whatever it is that you want to do. But let's just say we are 2 weeks out. And let's say we didn't get any offers in at all. Not even a single offer. At that point, would you be comfortable reducing the price to this amount, or would you want to wait until 30 days out to try reducing the price? Because eventually they're going to have to reduce the price. What we're doing is we're planting the seed that they're going to need to do that in the future. And when we do that, when there's an expectation, we don't look like the bad guy because we already vaccinated them. You know, when we were coming up with a topic for today's show, we were thinking about calling it vaccinating your buyers, but we figured YouTube and Facebook and big tech would probably we don't know how they would react to that. So we didn't call it vaccinating your buyers, but it's a marketing concept that I really love. So we've got this disease proliferating out through the world, and this vaccine is supposed to be the preventative. Your marketing can be a vaccine. Your marketing, your presentation, what you're presenting to your clients can be a vaccine about future problems and issues. So you want to vaccinate your buyers. You want to inoculate your buyers with the right information, and sellers as well, which framing this around buyers. But you want them to have expectations of what could possibly happen. And that's how you have things go wrong in the best possible way, because things are bound to go wrong. You want to use your experience, your intuition, and this is the one thing that you can't really train. This is the one thing that you will have to earn more of it over time, is your intuition, just by having seen things that have maybe gone wrong in the past and seeing how those real world implications, those ripple effects come from that thing. That's where you'll have more intuition, to where you don't have to list off all these possible things that could go wrong when they probably won't. But when you know maybe something, and look, you don't need to be in real estate for 10 years to know when a property is overpriced, or for a lot of these things that buyers need to know. There's one thing, if you guys ever saw that movie Catch Me If You Can, and the guy's name, I think the person's real name was Frank Costigan Jr., I want to say. I'm pretty sure that's who it was. And it was played by Leonardo DiCaprio in the Catch Me If You Can movie, but this was based on a real person. This was based on a real con artist. And this con artist, Frank Abignale, not Costigan, I think that's like The Departed or something like that. Frank Abignale was his name, and he was a professor at work. He wasn't really a professor. He had no credentials. He had no college level education, but he posed as a professor. And after the FBI eventually tracked him down and were interrogating him and asking, well, how were you believable to this whole class that you were a professor for an entire semester? Because he had a whole class believing at a college that he was a professor when he didn't even have a college degree himself. How did he do that? You know what his answer was? He said, I just read one chapter ahead of the class. You've got to realize that you just having a real estate license, you're already one chapter ahead of the general public. So your knowledge you already have just from passing the real estate exam puts you a cut above the general public. Now, yes, there's much more you could go beyond that, but you already have superior knowledge, and you could already enlighten them on a lot of things that they probably don't understand. Now, the fact finding, that's what's going to help you figure out what maybe some of these booby traps also are. What is it that they're holding back? What is it they don't want to tell you? Why? And also, some of these things they might be holding back that they don't want to tell you, they might be very insignificant as well, but we won't know unless we could find out that information. And again, that's where your personal human touch comes into this here. And then ultimately, finally, because you end every listing appointment with a listing agreement, or that's your end goal typically, is of a listing appointment, is to get a listing agreement. So when you're doing consultation with buyers, you want to get an agreement. You want to get an agreement with your buyers that they agree to use you as their real estate professional. So you have some degree of exclusivity, so you're not worried about this person going out and cheating on you. Do you want an open relationship with your clients, or do you want a relationship that's defined? That's what that agreement is for. The buyer brokerage agreement. The buyer brokerage agreement is so that you can have an exclusive relationship with your client. And it also gives you the ability to obligate the buyer to pay commission. And that's what a lot of people think about the buyer brokerage agreement as. And that's probably why a lot of agents don't use the buyer brokerage agreement, because they might just be out there working for free, hoping the seller will pay them for something. But if you don't want to hope that you're going to get paid, if you want to make sure that you have a place at the table with this person buying a property, you want to get that buyer brokerage agreement signed. But you're not going to get that signed if they don't see the reason why. You're not going to know the reason why if you don't do the fact finding, but once you do the fact finding, you understand how you could help them, you could present to them how you could help them, and then you could solidify that with an agreement. And look, that's working with buyers in a nutshell. That's the biggest miss, I would say, to help you establish better transactions with buyers, better relationships with buyers, and have smoother sailing, having your business being able to grow rather than just having to run around, put out fires. When you take these steps in advance to vaccinate, to inoculate your clients against potential problems that might occur because you've informed them, you've given them clear expectations in your presentations, and not just expectations of what could go wrong, but expectations of what you do, expectations of what they're to do, expectations of the timeline, expectations of what needs to be done. They need to know what to expect. And when they see that you're so knowledgeable and you could deliver this information, that's where you could get an agreement that they agree that, you know what, I feel like I'd be putting myself at risk if I were to use any other realtor out there because you obviously know what you're talking about. That's what you want your clients thinking about with you. And then the rest of it, that if you do these steps, the fact finding, this will help you search for less homes because you'll have a better idea of what it is that they're looking for. You'll be able to better handle their emotions because you'll know more so who they are, but they'll also have expectations. So when people have expectations, they're less emotional because they could prepare themselves for things that could go wrong. Whereas when they're blindsided, that's trying. That's trying for the real estate agent, let alone the person who's actually spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy or sell this house. And again, the expectations, what to expect after we go under contract. The inspections, the appraisals, the closing. Making sure, what if there's issues? One of the reasons why they might look at a bunch of homes at first is they might say, well, what if the house has a problem? Most houses do. Even new construction homes have. Brand new homes that they just built have problems, have issues. That's what an inspection's for, to find out what those issues are and get those resolved before we close. What do I mean by resolved? Well, maybe the seller repairs it. Maybe the seller gives you a credit for how much money it is that you're lost. Or we could pull the plug and say, you know what? No, this is too much of a risk for me because I didn't know this was going to be a problem. But when you lay out that expectation, then yeah, that's what we have the inspection for. And I know you said you'd be concerned with having a property that doesn't all have any kinds of issues and whatnot. Now, unfortunately, most homes do have some degree of a problem. There's almost no home out there that doesn't have a single problem in it. But what we're going to do is have an inspection done. Now, the inspection does cost a few $100s, but it's so worth it because it'll help us uncover any potential problems that could be there on the property, so that way you could move forward with the most informed decision. And we have these options here, and you're laying this out, and you're explaining them, you're teaching them. This might take you a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour to lay this all out, and a lot of people might say that's a bunch of extra work. But could all this extra work of laying this framework in advance that results in more clients, more happy clients, more satisfied clients, could that really be such a bad thing? That's why you should invest the time in doing the buyer consultation. So look, that's about all the time it is that we have for today. So thank you guys for tuning in. If you haven't taken post-licensing yet, post-licensing deals directly with topics like this, working with buyers, working with sellers, building a business plan. We've got live stream courses as well as classroom courses coming up. So call us 813-333-2676. Or if you don't even have your real estate license yet, we actually have some great bundle packages that include our study tools as well as the post-licensing course to help you jumpstart your real estate career. We actually call that our complete Jumpstart Package. So if you have questions about that, you can find out more information online at tampaschool.com or give us a call. We have advisors standing by to help simplify this process, to help make this easy. That's what we're here to do. If you haven't figured it out already from our videos, we want our students to be successful. That's why we invest in doing videos every single week on different topics that'll help you build a successful real estate business, because we don't want people getting a license with us and not being able to figure this out. We want you to be able to achieve whatever your dream real estate career is, and the lack of knowledge shouldn't be something that gets in the way of that. How to do this shouldn't be something that gets in the way with that. So if you have questions about getting your real estate license, taking your career to the next level, call us 813-333-2676. Again, that's 813-333-2676. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you next week. Are you studying for your Florida real estate exam? If you are, you need to check out our Pass First Try strategy. You're gonna love this. It's 4 steps that we break down the process to study for your Florida real estate exam. So you're set up to pass your Florida real estate exam, because that's what you're studying for, right? To pass your exam. It's 4 steps. Number 1, you learn the information. You've gotta learn this to be able to pass the exam, but it doesn't stop at learning. Step 2, you've got to reinforce the basic, simple, key concepts. As you learn this information, keep reviewing the simple things. You don't need to know everything, but you got to review these basic key concepts. Step 3, you've got to test your knowledge. The exam's going to test your knowledge, so if you don't test your knowledge in advance, you won't find out if you know what you think you know until you take the exam. And then step 4 is be confident and prepared, because even if you know this material, you need to be confident that you know the material. Check out the full strategy at passfirsttry.com. That's passfirsttry.com. State of real estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate.